Yeah.
Hey, my loves, this is me, Keisha, and I'm here with a Spill the Tea video. Today's video is going to be somber. This is very triggering topic, so if you get triggered by, death, suicide, rape, any of those things, and this is not the video for you. Today we'll be discussing Ashley Judd. And I will be discussing two stories that I found on her, which are very troubling and sad to read. The first one being that she was able to make peace with the person who raped her. She sat down in an interview and detailed when she was able to have a sit down with her rapist. Take a listen to this. So the article states, Ashley Judd discussed why she chose to have a restorative justice conversation with her rapist years after the assault and why that moment was essential in her grieving process. So she explained that why she tried to find her rapist following the traumatic event that took place in 1999. She explained that he surfaced very easily during her search, and to make a long story short, we ended up in rocking chairs, sitting by a creek together. And I said, I'm very interested in hearing the story you've carried all these years. And we had a restorative justice conversation about that. Judd went on to say that she wanted to share that story because there are many ways of healing from grief, and it's important to remind listeners that I didn't need anything from him, and it was just gravy that he made his amends and expressed his deep remorse because healing from grief is an inside job. Kessler added that many people may not realize that the idea of grief can also be applied to something like the aftermath of a rape or sexual assault. And the actress concurred that after an incident like that, you lose innocence. One loses safety. I lost a sense of trust. But through this recovery process, she said she has regained myself. The Double Jeopardy star went on to call her rape crazy making because she felt like she knew better. She explained, I was very clear. My boundaries were intact. I was already an empowered adult feminist woman, and that this could happen under these circumstances was unconscionable, unforeseen. And yet I have had a restorative justice process with this person out of how replete my soul is today. But while she admits that hearing how sorry he felt was an added bonus, she said she didn't need his cooperation or for him to make amends or for him to do anything differently in order for me to have a process that was independent from the previous asymmetry of power. Because I had the opportunity to do my trauma work, to do my grief work, to do my healing work, to have all these shifts in my own consciousness, and to bond in these female coalition spaces with other survivors. In 2019, Judd also told the audience at the Women in the World Summit that she is a 3-time rape survivor, and one of those incidents led to a pregnancy. I'm very thankful I was able to access safe and legal abortion, she said, because the rapist, who is a Kentuckian, as I am, and I reside in Tennessee, has paternity rights in Kentucky and Tennessee. I would have had to co-parent with my rapist. So having safe access to abortion was personally important to me. And as I said earlier, democracy starts with our skin. We're not supposed to regulate what we choose to do with our insides. And just think that this was in 2019 where she released this information, and how pertinent it is to what's going on in the world today with the government banning abortions and trying to ban contraceptives and all of these outlandish, crazy things that the government is trying to do to boost the white population. And for victims like this who have been raped or any heinous crime where they'll be forced to have a child by somebody who did something like that to them is beyond me, is beyond me. And that is why we as women have to stand up and fight against this, because it is irreparable. Like, this is just disgusting, it's heinous, and it's just unfathomable, but that we are living in this day and age that stuff like this is still happening, and that women's rights are being revoked and taken away from them after all of the things that our ancestors, people in our family, the women in our families have fought long and hard for, and here we are literally back at square one. It's crazy. And sadly, Ashley just recently lost her mother. If you don't know who her mother is, she is the daughter of the late country music singer Naomi Judd and the half sister of country music megastar Naomi Judd. I can let you all know that when I was a little girl, seeing the Judds perform, they were one of my favorites as a little girl. Like, I remember growing up in the era where Winona struggled with her weight. She would be, plus size one minute, then she would lose weight. She always felt like she was being compared to her mother, who was absolutely stunningly beautiful. Like, I remember the matching outfits, them playing the guitars and everything. And then when Ashley grew up and became a big A-lister actress in the 90s and early 2000s, like, I remember that. So when I learned that Winona had passed away, it was so sad to me. And then it was even more heart-wrenching and heartbreaking when Ashley and Winona revealed how she passed away. So what ended up happening was Ashley revealed in a candid interview that she did that it was a mixed day. So I see my mom and pop every day when I'm home in Tennessee. So I was at the house visiting, as I am every day, and mom said to me, "Will you stay with me?" And I said, "Of course I will." The 54-year-old actress recalled on Good Morning America on Thursday, May 12th, telling Diane Sawyer that she went outside to get a comforting person who had arrived. "I went upstairs to let her know that the friend was there, and I discovered her. I have both grief and trauma from discovering her." Earlier in the interview, Ashley shared that Naomi, who was 76, died by suicide. She used a weapon. My mother used a firearm, she said. So that's the piece of information that we are very uncomfortable sharing, but understand that we're in a position that if we don't say it, someone else is going to. That's so sad. Naomi had been open about her struggle with mental health over the years, with Ashley telling Sawyer that her brain physically hurt in her final days. "I really accepted the love my mother was capable of giving me because I knew she was fragile. So when I walked around the back of their house and came in the kitchen door, she said, 'There's my darling, there's my baby,' and she lit up. I savored those moments," she said, adding that she was very present for every hug. "I knew there would come a time when she would be gone, whether it was sooner or whether it was later, whether it was by the disease or another cause." She says, "When we're talking about mental illness, it's very important to be clear and make the distinction between our loved one and the disease. It's very real. It lies. It's savage." Ashley said on Thursday, Our mother, couldn't hang on until she was inducted into the Country Hall of Fame by her peers. I mean, that is a level of catastrophe of what was going on inside of her. The lie that the disease told her was so convincing. The lie that you're not enough. The lie that you're not loved, that you're not worthy. Her brain hurt. It physically hurt. She says, I want to be very careful when we talk about this and say for anyone who's having those ideas or those impulses to talk to someone, to share, to be open to the vulnerable. There's a national suicide hotline. If you or someone you know is in emotional distress or considering suicide, tell the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-8255. And for someone like me who grew up with a family member who committed suicide, it's very traumatizing on the family, on moving forward. It's hard. It's very hard, and that's very unfortunate that she had to be the one to see her mother like that and find her mother like that. And it's just, I feel so sorry for this woman and everything that she has had to go through. And that's why, most celebrities make it crystal clear that despite the wealth, the fame, and the accolades and all that, we are just regular people just like you. Just like you, and you never know what people are struggling with and what they're dealing with. Here her sister is dealing with weight, depression, self-esteem issues. Her mother is dealing with mental health issues. She's been raped not once but 3 times. Like, so much trauma in that family. And I pray that God gives them peace and comfort in these times, and that Naomi's soul is at rest and at peace, and that her family will be able to pick up the pieces and continue on, and be there for one another, because I can only imagine. I really can only imagine. So if you are, like they said, a person that's dealing with mental health issues, depression, bipolar, anything, seek help, get help. There is help out there for you. I suffer from panic disorder. I take a pill every day. I'm on sertraline, which is basically a knockoff version of Zoloft. I need my medication every day for me not to have, irrational thoughts of death. I had a big fear of death and me dying at a young age, and that would then bring on anxiety. And so, in order for me to keep my anxiety at bay, I need my medication every day. And it's not anything for me to be ashamed of. It helps me. It helps me be a productive citizen. It helps me be productive and present in my everyday life, and not to have this disease, this thing hovering over me and controlling my life on an everyday basis. And, in the Black culture, we were often told, don't be taking that medicine, you get addicted and things like that. That's not the case. Not saying that medication is always necessary, because there's way many other ways to treat things. But for me, that is what works best, and keeps me sane and keeps my anxiety at bay, because I have severe panic disorder to the point where if I don't have my medication, I will literally be in bed for days upon days feeling like I'm about to have a stroke, feeling my heart beat at a rapid pace, hearing my heart beating through my ears, feeling like I'm about to stop breathing at any moment, feeling my body shaking and tensing up, and literally feeling like I'm about to black out and die. It's the scariest thing ever. So for anybody that is struggling with anything, please seek the help, seek therapy. I went to therapy for almost a year to help deal with my issues and to talk things out. It's really good. It's really healthy for you to be able to talk to somebody that is not biased, that does not know you, doesn't owe you anything, and to clear your mind and get clarity on certain situations that's going on within your life. Therapy is good for you, and it does help. Okay, I love you guys. Sorry this was a heavy one, but it needed to be spoken about and talked about. Let's talk down below, be a community of a safe place for each other. And that's it, you guys. I love you, and thank you guys for tuning in to this video. Bye.